Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome once again to NoDQ&A video. This is episode number 375. As I do every 25 videos, this will be an extended edition of NoDQ&A video. Got a lot of questions here from spring.me/AaronRift. And by the way, if you like the old layout of the site better, go to old.spring.me. I personally prefer the old layout as opposed to the new one, but maybe some people like the new one. I think if it's not broken, don't fix it. But anyways, let's get started here. First one today comes from BHinder1. With AJ Styles, quote, walking out and TNA going to do a tournament to crown a new champion, do you see this going the same way as the CM Punk and John Cena thing back in 2011 where CM Punk walked out after winning the title? Yeah, basically what TNA is trying to do is recreate that CM Punk angle, only they want to do it differently, do it the way that a lot of fans feel it should have been done. The thing about the CM Punk angle is that it started off red hot, and then a week later, CM Punk was back on television, and he signed his new contract, had the unification match at SummerSlam, and that was the end of it. I think that TNA's mindset is that they want to do it the right way and let it play out. And I believe the plan is for AJ Styles to go on indie shows and defend his version of the title and go to Japan or Mexico or whatever. And then eventually he comes back and has the big unification match with whoever wins the tournament. And maybe they can do that at the January pay-per-view or even hold it off until Lockdown, something like that. So I see what TNA is doing here, and I like it. I really enjoyed Impact, actually. I thought it was a very good show. One of the better Impacts in recent memory. And I enjoyed the segments with AJ and Dixie, and I liked the ending with AJ driving off in the car. I thought it was a good cliffhanger. I still have my doubts, though, that this angle will work. The thing about the CM Punk angle is that it did start really hot, and it's because people believed that CM Punk was really leaving the company. And even if they didn't, it was still done good enough that people could suspend disbelief. And I really have my doubts that people even slightly believe that AJ Styles might be gone from TNA. And, I don't think people buy it. I mean, maybe some people do, especially when it's Dixie Carter and TNA and how they've been running things over the past couple of years. Maybe some people could buy it. But I sense that most don't believe that AJ Styles is gone. And, the storyline hasn't had a lot of momentum up to this point. So, I don't know if it's going to work for them. And also, it's only been 2 years since the CM Punk angle. So perhaps it's also too soon to try this angle again. But you know what? I'm pulling for TNA here, despite what some people think. I want them to succeed, and we'll see where things go with this angle. I mean, I'm really hoping, it's a success for them. All right, this one comes from Crayon4810. Does TNA honestly think that this new, quote, where the action never ends initiative will bring new viewers to the product? How long before this idea fizzles out, just like the top 10 ranking system, the X Division rules, and the time slot changes? You also forgot open fight night and the gut check and all that stuff. Once again, I will give TNA credit for the effort. I think that they tried their best to put a positive spin on the fact that they're not drawing on the road and it's costing them too much money, and they have no choice but to go back to Orlando. But you don't want to go out and say that and admit that you failed yet again. So they're coming up with this whole new direction to play off of social media and give that more of an emphasis. So, I give TNA credit for trying to put a positive spin on it. And, I don't think it's going to make any kind of difference. And I don't know, the idea of 24/7 TNA nonstop watching the guys in their house or whatever, I think that that's a little too much. 2 hours of TNA every week I think is enough for me. But once again, you got to take chances, and you got to try different things. So, I at least give them credit for that. All right, this one comes from Call MM Call. Hey Aaron, great show, keep it up. Please answer in video. What are your thoughts on Jake Roberts possibly being in next year's Royal Rumble? I think it would be cool to give the guy a few minutes at least. Thanks very much from Waterford City, Ireland. I think I've talked about this before. I would love to see Jake the Snake Roberts in the Royal Rumble this year, and I don't see why not. I mean, if the guy has cleaned up his act, why not let the fans have that feel-good moment and that nostalgia moment with Jake Roberts coming out with the snake and having one last run and getting inducted into the Hall of Fame, and maybe have him, hit somebody with a DDT at WrestleMania. Why not do that? So, and the thing too about the Royal Rumble is it's always cool when the old-time superstars come out for the Rumble match. They did it with Kevin Nash and Booker T a couple years ago, and this year Goldust came out and had his thing with Cody Rhodes. So, I would love to see it, and it always adds to the Rumble match when you get to see the old-timers come out and mix it up with some of the current superstars in WWE. And also, when it's the Royal Rumble, Jake doesn't have to do all that much. He can come down to the ring, hit a few DDTs, and then get eliminated, and the fans are still happy. So I say do it. All right, this one comes from High Bolt. Hey Aaron, please answer in video. What WrestleManias did The Undertaker miss during the streak, and what caused him to miss those WrestleManias? Keep up the good work. Well, Undertaker missed WrestleMania 10, and I believe that was for personal reasons. I think his wife gave birth a short time before that, and he had requested the time off, and it was possibly due to an injury as well. I know that for WrestleMania 16 in 2000, that was definitely an injury, and by that point the streak started being important. So even though the Undertaker's been hurt in recent years, he's still he takes the time off for the rest of the year, so he's healthy for WrestleMania. WrestleMania is crucial at this point. But back then in the 90s, the streak hadn't really been established yet, so it wasn't. They didn't think about the idea of him being there and being part of the streak at that time. All right, this one comes from Philly Reese 215. WWE.com recently did a countdown of the best Raw endings. Can you name a few of yours? Yeah, one of my favorite endings of Raw was, let's start off in 1997, when Steve Austin and Bret Hart had their big brawl, and Austin sent Bret Hart to the hospital. Austin came back out at the end of the show, and at the very end, he was jumped by Brian Pillman. I mean, that was one of my all-time favorite Raws, and I just remember that ending with Pillman coming out, and it was just a crazy atmosphere. And that was when the tide was really turning, and Raw was becoming the show to watch over Nitro. And another one of my favorite endings would have to be the Raw where Mick Foley won the title, and when Austin came out and hit Rock with a chair, one of the biggest pops of all time, and just one of the best feel-good endings ever in Raw history. So definitely a lot of those from the Monday Night War period. With the title changes and the times that Austin won the title, those were always really great moments. And the Tyson Austin confrontation, that was one of the best endings to Raw ever, and one of the key moments in WWE history. When Austin was rising up to the very top, that was one of my favorites, no doubt. Oh, real quickly, I wanted to also add from recent times the Nexus invasion. On Raw. I mean, that was one of the most memorable endings in recent history. And then, of course, as I mentioned in the beginning of the video, CM Punk's pipe bomb. I mean, how can I forget that one? So just wanted to mention those two. And I'm sure there's other ones that I'm forgetting, but I'm just going off the top of my head here. Anyways, back to the questions. This one comes from Ultimate GIY Gas. Hey, Aaron, do you see Hell in a Cell being a good show? With the card, it has some potential, and at the least, I predict it to be better than Night of Champions or Battleground. It should definitely be a better show than those two, and I think the fact that fans were not high on those last two pay-per-views, I think WWE will definitely step things up with this one. I'm thinking we get a new WWE champion finally, and that's what the last two pay-per-views were building up to. This big match, Hell in a Cell, Shawn Michaels is the referee, so it should be very entertaining. And, as far as the rest of the card goes, I mean, John Cena's coming back. I mean, that should be interesting to see if he wins the world title or not. And just top to bottom, I think that it will be a very solid show and a better than average one. So, I think that WWE knows they need to deliver something good this time, and they can't screw over the fans again like they did at Night of Champions or Battleground. All right, this one comes from LBX Johnson. Do you think WWE milked Eugene's character for too long? I don't really think so. I think it went a good amount of time, from 2004. I think it lasted 2-3 years at the most. And, some people were critical of the character. I found it to be entertaining. The one thing I didn't like is that they never let Nick Dinsmore just be himself. I wish they had done some kind of angle where maybe he hit his head and, he changed his personality, and maybe it was revealed he had amnesia the whole time, or any number of things. I just feel bad that he never got the opportunity to play a normal character. So, that kind of sucked. But, I think the character had a good run. And, I remember the feud with Triple H and the stuff with Hogan at WrestleMania and the Backlash pay-per-view. So, I mean, Eugene had his moments in history. All right, this one comes from WWE Champion 3000. I started watching WWE in 2006, and for years there's been a decline in the ratings. Special Raws got around the 5s or 4s just 7 years ago, but now they're in the high 2s. Doesn't it seem like someone should be worried about this? Well, the thing is that traditionally ratings always go down during football season. I mean, this has been going on for well over a decade now. So, WWE does tend to hit the panic button sometimes when the ratings drop, and you'll notice it. When Vince McMahon comes out the next week after a low rating, you know that they've been panicking. But I think by now they realize that the ratings are going to drop at certain periods. They're going to have their high points. They're going to have their low points. And, I don't think they panic about it quite as much as they used to. And, they're still doing, around 4 million viewers right now. So, I mean, it's not terrible. If they start getting down to like 3.5 million, then you could see some potential fireworks go off. But I think as long as they hover around 4 million during, the fall and winter, I don't think that it's too much to be concerned about. All right, this one comes from PFarBird Jr. Hey Aaron, longtime viewer. If you had a friend that did not watch wrestling and you wanted to get them hooked, which match would you have them watch? Please answer in video. Well, I would want to show them a match that was not too over the top. Something like The Undertaker, Mankind, Hell in the Cell. I mean, as great as that was, somebody who's never watched wrestling will watch that and think that every match is like that. So you don't want to get them watching those kind of matches. And, stuff like the TLC matches. You want to show them something that's fairly simple but is really intense, and, something where you can suspend disbelief and you think what you're watching is real. Something like Steve Austin versus Bret Hart from WrestleMania 13. I mean, that would be a perfect example. And, if you're trying to get somebody to watch the current product, you'd obviously want to show them something that's recent. I would go with Shawn Michaels versus The Undertaker from WrestleMania 25. And even more recent, if we're talking about something from this year, I mean, show them any of the Shield versus Daniel Bryan 6-man tag matches. I mean, all those matches have been tremendous, and that could very easily convert them into a fan. All right, this one comes from Kayfabe Candy Ass. With political correctness ruining everything, like football, should the WWE allow blood and chair shots as long as the performers know the dangers involved? Well, that would be irresponsible by WWE. I mean, as a company, they need to protect their performers and they need to lay out these rules. I think it's kind of silly that they don't do the chair shots to the head, but they don't want to take any chances here, and they even got upset with Undertaker and Triple H at WrestleMania a few years ago, and with that chair shot to the head, I mean, Triple H had his hands up, or was it Undertaker who was getting the chair shot? But one of them had their hands up for it, and they still got fined. So WWE's taken the rules seriously, and I one of my big complaints about WWE being PG is not allowing the blood. I think that blood helps add dramatic effect to a match. Going back to that Steve Austin Bret Hart match, I mean, would that match have meant as much if Austin didn't have all that blood pouring down his face? So blood can really add a lot to a match, and it allows you to suspend disbelief as well, because if you're watching a match, if it was real, guys would bleed. I mean, that would happen. So it adds realism to a match. I wish WWE, if they were gonna allow anything again, I wish they would allow the blood again. And maybe they don't like the guys blading, so maybe you could just do blood capsules or something. I mean, whatever you can do to have blood on there every now and then, I don't think that would be a negative thing. All right, this one comes from XDude13. Hey Aaron, love the show. Congrats on number 375. Do you think SmackDown will be relevant again? If so, how? I miss all the bragging rights matches, brand invasions, WWE draft, etc. Please answer in video. Well, I agree with you. I think that the brand extension was good for WWE in a post Monday Night War era, when you only have one show and you have a lot of guys on one roster. I think it was the right decision to split up the roster into two, and that way it gave a lot of other guys a chance to shine, and it also didn't overexpose your main stars. When they're only on one show a week as opposed to two, it doesn't get stale as fast. So definitely, I think that maybe WWE made a mistake ending the brand extension, and because it really can become overkill when you see Daniel Bryan and Randy Orton on Raw and SmackDown every week, and the same guys, and you already have Raw going 3 hours right now. Then you have SmackDown. I mean, it can be a bit much at times, and guys tend to get lost in the shuffle too when there's only one brand. So maybe at some point WWE will get the brand extension rolling again. I mean, who knows? But I don't know what they're gonna do at this point, and we'll just have to wait and see. Things can change anytime. It all depends on what kind of mood Vince McMahon is, and if he feels he wants to do the brand extension again. I mean, it all depends on what his mindset is at the time. All right, that'll wrap things up for this edition of NoDQ&A video. Thanks as always for watching. If you enjoyed this video today, share it on Facebook or Twitter. Spread the word. Tell a friend about NoDQ&A video. And stay tuned to NoDQ.com this weekend for WWE Hell in a Cell coverage. You can get play-by-play results, find out all the latest news and spoilers regarding Hell in a Cell. And now I'm going to get to the final question here from Mr. Tuxedo. Do you think that The Undertaker will return a few weeks before WrestleMania 30? Also, who would you think would be the likely opponent? Personally, I would like to see RVD versus Taker in a no-holds-barred match. Well, I can tell you right now, it's not going to be RVD in the WrestleMania 30 match. In all likelihood, it will be Brock Lesnar, and that's what the big rumor has been for almost 6 months now, since WrestleMania 29. Once The Rock got hurt, because I think the original plan was to do The Rock and Brock for WrestleMania 30, but then The Rock got hurt, and there was a talk about doing Brock and Undertaker instead. And you got to do something big with Brock this year. I mean, they had him beat CM Punk at SummerSlam, and CM Punk's one of your top stars, so clearly they're building up Brock for a huge match at WrestleMania. And with Undertaker, you're running out of top-tier guys you can put him in there against, and really, you have to do either Brock Lesnar or John Cena for WrestleMania 30. And, you can do, who knows if Brock Lesnar is going to stick around another year. So you might as well pull the trigger on Undertaker versus Brock for WrestleMania 30, and then you can always do Undertaker versus John Cena for 31. So, I mean, if it was me, I would do it that way. And, Undertaker and Lesnar should be a huge match. I mean, they had a confrontation a few years ago after the UFC pay-per-view, and just that 10-second stare-down video got like 5 million hits on YouTube. So, there's definitely a lot of interest in seeing those two guys go at it, and Lesnar is one of the few guys that fans I think would buy into the possibility that he could end the Undertaker's streak. Alright, so that'll do it. I will see you guys next time for more No DQ&A video.